Silent Hill, a quiet little lakeside resort town. We're happy to have you. Take some time out of your busy schedules and enjoy a nice, restful vacation here. Row after row of quaint old houses, a gorgeous mountain landscape, and a lake which shows different sides of its beauty with the passing of the day. From sunrise to late afternoons and sunset, Silent Hill will move you and fill you with a feeling of deep peace. I hope your time here will be pleasant and your memories will last forever. That cheap little brochure was the reason Mary and James visited Silent Hill all those years ago. Already that trip felt like nothing more than a legend from ancient times, with Mary as the mythical goddess. In those days, his entire life revolved around her, and every day seemed more vivid and radiant than the last. Back in the days when it felt wonderful just to be alive. It all began at a house party held by a mutual friend. It was an ordinary enough setting for a first encounter, but at the moment when their eyes first met, it was like it set off a second Big Bang and created an entirely new universe as the setting for their love story. Every day their affection evolved from a blazing passion to a peaceful, stable relationship. Nevertheless, even the most beautiful love stories are pervaded by tragedy, and this story was no different. Fate imposed a harsh ordeal on both of them when Mary fell ill. The pain and suffering they endured during that time still remained with James, slowly eating at his heart. And as many great civilizations vanished, their love story came to an end. Ever since then, James had been left alone to wander the ruined world with only the memories of that ancient story, desperately searching for the smallest remaining trace of their lost happiness. This is the place. He spotted the gate through the mist. There were 2 entrances to Rosewater Park, and traveling from the alley behind the apartments had led him to the east entrance. Mary, please be here. James silently prayed without even really knowing why. The odds of his impossible wish coming true were worse than winning the lottery, but still he wished with all his heart for a miracle. He walked through the gloomy park, his footsteps echoing hollowly on the stone walkway. Just like the rest of the town, this place seemed to be deserted. Suddenly, a shadowy figure drifted into view. For a split second, James's heart soared and he rushed towards the figure, only for it to be revealed as a statue atop a pedestal. Patrick Chester, son of Edward, he fought and died for the people, for liberty, and for all of our tomorrows. His memory lives on, read the plaque underneath the statue depicting a grim-faced soldier. The flutter of expectation gave way to misery as his small hope was dashed. James smiled bitterly, even as a few tears escaped and traveled down his cheeks. Good thing no one can see me through all this fog. For even one of those monsters is to see him in this pitiful state. At the very least, he could be consoled by the fact that he hadn't come across any more of them yet. He descended a flight of stone steps until he reached a boardwalk. Beyond the boardwalk's gently curved handrails was an eternal expanse of white nothingness. The pervasive fog had been managed to ruin the view of the lake. James searched through his mind until he came upon the precious memory of watching the sparkling water with Mary. Those memories were just as vivid as the day they happened, which wasn't a surprise considering how obsessed he was with Mary back then. Casting a sidelong glance across the boardwalk, he could almost catch a flickering glimpse of what she looked like on that day. He remembered thinking that even the brilliant sunset reflecting off the lake's surface was impossible to compare to Mary's graceful figure and radiant, smiling face. That cherished image of her was displayed in front of him as if from a projector. It was like some trace of her had been carved into this place. James stared, entranced, until the figure of Mary blurred and shifted through the mist. There was something in the way she leaned on the handrail. Could it be that this wasn't just an illusion? James couldn't believe his eyes. "Are you Mary?" He stared with blank amazement as he took one uncertain step closer. The woman turned around. Her face was unmistakable. That radiant beauty that never left his mind even after all these years. "Mary?" the woman asked. "Mary? Who's that? Your girlfriend?" Aside from her hair color, she was the spitting image of Mary. Even her voice was the same. James was staring at her so intently he could have devoured her with his eyes. "No, my wife. She passed away, but you look just like her." The more he looked, the more he saw the differences between this woman and Mary. The woman was wearing flashy and somewhat revealing clothes, whereas Mary had always preferred plain clothes. Not only that, but if she really was Mary, shouldn't she be just as happy to see him as he was to see her? Also, he couldn't picture Mary glaring at him like this woman was. It wasn't in her modest nature. Geez, that's got to be the lamest pickup line I've ever heard. Unless you really meant it or something. Unfortunately for you, my name's Maria. I'm not your wife, and I'm certainly no ghost either. See? She grabbed James's hands in hers. It was an enticing gesture, like she was familiar with men. Aren't I a bit too warm to be a dead person? James felt a mild shock at the gentle touch of her fingers. Though he could understand in his head that this was a different person, he shivered as if it brought back memories of holding Mary's hand. Without meeting her eyes, he pulled his hand away. "Sorry. I must have the wrong person." He turned his back to her and began to walk away. To leave Maria, his wife's look-alike, behind felt like abandoning the real Mary. "Hey, where are you going?" Maria's voice chased him down. "To look for my wife," James said, looking back at her again. "Huh?" She caught up beside him. "Didn't you say she was dead?" "Yeah, for 3 years now, but she sent me a letter. She said that she was waiting for me in Silent Hill, at our special place." "Are you kidding me? You really got a letter from your dead wife? You sure someone isn't messing with you?" "It's okay to laugh. I know it sounds silly, but I'd really like to believe that it's true. That Mary really is alive." So then this park must be your special place, right?" I think that's what she meant. "Sorry to say this, but there's no one here but me. I should know. I've been out here for a while. You have any other ideas?" The way she was meddling in his business with her noisy chattering was starting to get on his nerves. This woman was nothing like Mary, and yet the image of Mary looking over the lake was still fresh in his mind. "Well, there's the hotel too. I forgot its name though, Lake something." "The Lakeview Hotel?" "Yeah, that's the one." "Well then, guess we better get going." James stopped in his tracks. "You live around here?" "Nope, but I know this area well enough." "Why?" "You don't know? There are these weird creatures all over the place, and everyone's gone missing. If you're so familiar with this place, then tell me, what's going on in this town? What the heck are those monsters?" Maria shrugged. "I don't really know myself, Before I knew it, everyone was gone, and I was all alone out here. Anyhow, you'll want to go this way." She grabbed James's arm and began walking. "We can go to the hotel now, and you'll have me to guide you." "Wait, why should I let you come with me?" "Well, you said I look like your wife, didn't you?" "If that's the case, then would you really leave me all alone?" Maria asked, displaying a charming smile. Between the low visibility because of the fog and the overall danger of the situation, James wasn't thrilled at the idea of having to look after a stranger, especially her. If he was by himself, he'd be able to run away if he needed to. Having her around might just slow him down. Soon after the two left the park, a mannequin-like monster emerged from the fog. It was easily dispatched, but James was forced to use the last of his precious ammo. What would he do if they were surrounded by monsters like he was before? "Ouch!" Mary complained with a scowling expression. "Hey, be more careful next time. I don't want to get myself hurt because of you." James checked the condition of her injury. Blood oozed from a scrape on her upper arm. "Sorry." The monster only gave her a scratch, but James still felt the need to apologize. He didn't particularly dislike Maria, but he didn't want to listen to her exaggerated complaints. Still, her appearance puzzled him to the point that he didn't know how to react to anything she said, especially when she spoke with the same voice as Mary. In any case, if he wanted to keep Maria safe, he'd have to get a hold of more bullets, and fast. It's not like he'd just run into an arms dealership in a residential area like this. He looked around, trying to catch sight of anything through the fog. He noticed a gas station. Upon closer inspection, he found that the building was locked up tight. But there was something else that caught his eye. It appeared that someone abandoned their car here in the middle of refueling. But stranger still was what James found at the front of the vehicle. A long iron pipe had been stabbed through the front of the hood. There was no doubt that this had happened before of the uproar of the monsters had caused. In any case, if he could kill a monster with a wooden board, then a steel pipe would be useful enough as a weapon. James climbed on top of the abandoned car and pulled at the steel rod with all his strength. His efforts were rewarded when the pipe was pulled free. "Hey, be careful swinging that around. You better not hit me by mistake," Maria said as she tapped her foot impatiently. She had an awfully sharp tongue for someone who claimed they wanted to help. The pair proceeded west down Nathan Avenue. "You see that? Over there's Historical Society." Maria pointed to the right of the road. It was a small building befitting this small town. James couldn't imagine there being anything interesting to see there. "A little ways ahead there's a bridge we need to cross. Then we'll turn onto Sanford Street. If we keep following that road, we'll reach the hotel eventually." "How long do you think it'll take?" The last time he'd visited this town, he had a car, so the distance to the hotel had seemed like nothing at all. "We still have a long way to go. It's all the way on the other side of the lake, after all." "That's fair, huh?" James let out an exasperated sigh. It looked like he'd be stuck with Maria until they reached the hotel. However, it soon became clear that protecting Maria was the least of his problems.